one of the best ways of talking about what was so not just exciting but human about the web, the internet overall, but the web in particular, was that we could talk about what was interesting to us, which meant that what we cared about, what mattered to us, we now could reclaim in a public space. The web was a reflection of our interests, not the interests of well-intentioned media or corporate entities that maybe not so well-intentioned but wanted to serve our interests, which would be their interests as well. This was a place in which for the first time the world as a whole could express and engage with people around what we actually care about, which is in many ways entirely different from what the corporate world would like to think we care about or what they want us to care about, and the same for the media. The issue when it comes to the question of the good and what's useful to you, to us as a collective, is that we don't agree about that. There is no agreement, and we can see this now. Literally, we can see it on the net. We can see that people are interested in crazy things and in things that are self-destructive from our point of view, things that are stupid, things that are trivial. The web allows us to express and pursue our interests no matter how stupid or self-destructive they may seem to others. But one of the things that we seem to have in common is that we are an interest-based species, that we have interests, and these interests are hugely important to us. The world matters to us, and it matters to each of us differently. And now we can not only see that it matters to each of us differently, we can explore how it matters to someone differently. The ancient attempt to discover what is good and to get us to care about it may be premised on a notion that there is a thing that is good, that all humans can agree on.
Which is
whereas just being on the internet shows maybe there isn't. Maybe there isn't 8 billion different ways of having things matter to us.
We look at these people as someone who is already acting, behaving, believing, having habits, having beliefs, okay? Something that has been already shaped by their own lives, by the society. And we know that behind societies, behind our lives, there are people who's trying to control us somehow, no? To make us buy. And as a marketer, I think to know quite well how the bad marketing works, to make people buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like. And now the web is an extremely powerful weapon that if it goes in the wrong hands, I'm a bit scared as a citizen, as a father, of the way that someone might use it. I'd like to see it as something neutral somehow. Then I'm wondering if it is possible to consider the web neutral somehow. This is one of the questions.
There has not been an invention that has less purpose than language, than the internet, since language.
I agree.
And that is, so if we try to manage it, it will be because we think we know what the purpose of the internet is. And once we've done that, then we don't, then it's a very practical thing, because who's going to manage it? Well, it's going to be governments.
Obviously.
And governments are just
controlling.
They don't understand it. Even in the best case, they want to control it because they're afraid of all the stuff.
Terrorism and stuff like that.
And we should be afraid, but still, I don't want governments deciding what the internet is for. I don't want companies to decide what it's for. I don't want Google deciding what it's for. And Google is often pretty good about this. It does a lot of open stuff, but it also doesn't always do good stuff. It's business. It's really important, for me, it's the essence of the internet that it not be turned into something that is for some purpose. It's to serve our interests, and we get to define our interests. And some of those interests are horrible. It's terrorism and fraud and the worst parts of humanity, those interests. But to sacrifice the internet, the openness of the internet, where we all get to explore and fulfill our interests because of a desire to control the internet, manage the internet for very good reasons, is very distressing to me. That's why the internet is by far the largest project humans have ever undertaken.
I agree.
There's not a single manager on the internet. There's nobody with a business card that says manager of the World Wide Web or CEO of the internet. It has succeeded and grown because it turns out if you want something to scale, to get really big, you have to take management out of it. You have to take control and management out of it. That's how the internet works. No management, no control. I think for me the most natural one is to think of it as a place, although it's unlike any other place. But I think there's actually good reason to think about it as being like a language.
Yeah, which is
in terms of being unmanageable.
Yeah.
Language succeeds because there is nobody in control of it.
Yeah.
And we try, and it's good.
Yeah.
You know, you can't use that slang, or the slang identifies you as the wrong sort of person, you know, or whatever. You know, there are efforts to control, and that's perfectly fine. But language evolves representing our needs, local needs around the world. New words they need, new ways of expressing things. That's wonderful. If you tried to control language, you put somebody, you couldn't, but you could do some damage to it. And that's how I feel about the internet, which in that regard, language is a really good metaphor.
Back to the economy 0.0. I don't want to theorize anything. I mean, we are full of theories. I mean, we don't need anyone more to theorize whatever. I'd like to see if there is a level where you can stop before transforming your ideas in a dogma. Because when you get into a dogma, then the dogma gets older and then you didn't create actually anything. So, I try to image the act of love like the big L, as the highest, the most powerful, the greatest act of economy that we could produce.
And you cannot understand human experience without facing that fact, that none of human experience makes sense if you don't see the care that things matter to us. And that seems to me absolutely, essentially correct. It is true. And so for me, in that, if instead of saying love, one were to say care, for no reason,
okay,
then for me, absolutely, the genius, the importance, and the inherent morality of the internet is that it is a field in which our care, matters to us, dominates. It is inexplicable without recognizing that the internet is built by people to whom the world mattered, and built by people to whom the world mattered differently, and built in such a way, for the first time in human history, that we can get direct access from me to you to the person that we don't know to see how their world matters to them. Never had that. Language enables it. The internet, in some sense, the internet makes it a click away. And so I'm very comfortable with saying that the internet is an expression of human caring and mattering. And I'm also quite comfortable saying that is another way of saying that the internet is an expression of human love.
Now these questions are getting very, very strong in my life. What can we do for urgent, absolutely an urgent time? Anyway, thanks a lot. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Good luck with the 0.0.
Yeah, we'll see.